Hey guys, welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid and another morning ramble. You know, I thought for many years I knew why people changed. I had an idea of why people changed. It was kind of black and white, but it was short, simple, and sweet. But somebody's pointed out to me a different way of thinking, and I really can see where they're coming from. I'm picking up what they're laying down. That guy's name is John Schwartz. He's one of our subscribers, and this little green bulb right here that's newly been added just today to our Wildlife Refuge Christmas tree is for John in memory of his son Josh, who he lost. And then this red bulb up here is for, and now I know her mother wasn't mean enough to name her this, but this is her YouTube user ID, Fat Old Lady in PJs. All right, so while I'm going over here to take my seat and watch this beautiful continuation of the sunrise, I'm going to tell you about Fat Old Lady in the PJs and why I put a Christmas bulb up here for her. She commented yesterday on the video about Please Feed the Birds, about how she's one of the people. Oh, there goes a big old deer. Several. See if watch. See if you can see him behind me. There's a fence line up there in the woods. Where is it? There's like, that's my does. Watch up in this area right here. Watch for movement. I'll talk while they're up there. So anyway, she said that she was the type of person that believed in helping people. And that's wonderful because, you know, that's great too. And she said something she does. She goes, this time of year when it gets cold, she'll go to the Dollar General store, the Dollar Tree or something, and she buys like $30 worth of like toboggans and gloves. And she takes them and gives them to the like the local grade school, because she knows somebody that works there, and they pointed out to her that a lot of times the little kids, when they go out on the playground once the weather's cold, they don't have toboggans or gloves, and they come around asking for toboggans and gloves so they don't get cold, and sometimes they just don't always have enough. So she gives those to the local grade school. That's wonderful. So Fat Old Lady in PJs. And this is cool too, because I've talked before in these rambles about practicing random acts of kindness, but don't tell anybody about it, so we can practice humility. Whoever Fat Old Lady in PJs is has done this, because yeah, she pointed out that she did it, she told us about it, but we don't know who she is. So she still gets to enjoy her humility, but she also shared a wonderful idea with many of us. So if you want to do something nice, you know, I like helping people too, but I like doing it the way she does it, going directly to the people who need who are in need. Not going through some middleman that takes a large percentage of whatever it is you give to pay high salaries to CEOs and senior management. That's just my take on it. Now, John Schwartz. John Schwartz, he's been with us for a long time, as has Fat Old Lady in PJs. And I want to share, here, John does something very unique, very interesting. John watches these morning rambles, and then his comments often are... this deer gone. I hope you got to see them. They are like very profound quotations that kind of relate to what I rambled about. And he shared two here today. I want to share the first one. I read this and I was like, wow, that is so deep, and it makes so much sense in regard to why people change. I always was of the belief system, and I've shared before. I'm an objectivist. Though I mean, a lot of folks watch these and they probably say I'm a humanist or I'm touchy-feely. No, I'm an objectivist. I like to let logic be my leading guide when it comes to making decisions. However, I am human and I do have emotions. Now, I try not to make any sort of business decision or monetary decision or life-altering decisions based upon emotion. I try to go with reason and logic. I try my best to be an objectivist, but I do feel. And I guess if I didn't, I wouldn't be up here feeding birds in the winter, and deer, and whatever else is up here. That's a whole nother topic. So anyway, John Schwartz left a quote yesterday about why people change, and I cannot disagree with this, because as soon as I read this, I looked back on my life, and I've talked about this, and I agree. John he put a quote here: a person changes for two reasons. Someone special came into their life, or someone special left their life. I just really can't agree with that more. That is so I always believe that. I guess here's what I used to believe. I got off on my ramble about objectivism. I always believed that if people only made change when they were no longer comfortable. If someone was comfortable, they kind of would rest on their laurels. They would stay where they were. They would coast. They would go with the status quo. But the minute something happened to where they became uncomfortable, they would begin to make change. We can see this with people's finances. We can see it like people who run their own businesses. If things are going good, money's, revenues are coming in, the bills are paid, they'll start coasting or resting on their laurels. We see it a lot with people who abuse alcohol or substances. There's a lot of what they call, what's that term they use? Functional alcoholics out there. Guys, as someone who's sober and clean and stuff and has been for several years, and who was for several years before but then went into a 5-year relapse, let me tell you, there's nothing functional about being an active alcoholic or drug addict, in my humble opinion, based upon experience. But they call them this. They say, oh, he's a functioning alcoholic or she's a functioning alcoholic. A lot of times people will drink or drug and never put any thought into how they're damaging themselves, their health, their family, until they get a DUI or until they wrap the family's car around a tree. They were fortunate enough not to get caught and face legal consequences, but they destroy a car. That's usually the wake-up call. That's when they become uncomfortable. Well, usually, sometimes not until they face legal consequences do they receive the wake-up call, or until somebody practices a bit of tough love with them, like I mentioned with our subscriber Mark in a ramble last week, whose mother at 18 saw he was killing himself with drugs, didn't want to be the mom that ran out to bail him out of trouble when he got into it because she knew it was coming. She kicked him out, and he ended up in a hotel and doing drugs with a girl, ended up in jail after that, but now he's been sober for more than 70 years. So I always thought, if you're comfortable, why would you change? People change when they're comfortable. But John Schwartz really brought a more humanistic view of things here. He says a person changes for 2 reasons. Someone special came into your life, or someone special left your life. And I think back, when I left when some very special people lost my life or left my life, I lost them from my life. Man, things got bad, man, real bad. And there's still very much a welcome mat at my door for these people to come back into my life should they ever decide to do so, and that would be a great day for me. But in the interim, while that door became closed and I was waiting in the hallway, another door opened, and I had Dearly and Daniel come into my life, and lo and behold, I stopped being a dirtbag, a woe is me, down and out drunk, and became a somewhat decent human being again, who at least got clean and sober and loves them and feeds the birds in the winter. So John, thank you for that quote. I agree. Now, here's the other quote John left, and this is very profound. And I want to share this, and this is why John, in honor and memory of his son Josh, they got that bulb up here. And guys, there's a lot of you out there going through this kind of stuff, and you've left the comments, and I'm not neglecting you. I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to get to everybody, and I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for sharing your stories, because you are who gives this channel strength and purpose. You know what? It's 29 degrees out here right now. You probably can't tell. It's cold. It is very cold. I've actually left my gloves on for this ramble. I usually take this one off to hold the phone to make sure I don't accidentally turn the phone off while I'm recording, but it's so cold I've left them on. Our views are so low on our channel. They're the lowest they've been in the last 5 months. There's so many reasons I could have not come up here and done this ramble this morning. I could have come up with all those big, little, well, I can't do that because it's too cold. Well, there's no reason to do that. The views are low. People aren't watching for some reason. The stories you tell me and the comments of these videos is what gives me the strength, the courage, and the motivation to come up here and make these morning rambles. Thank you. Keep telling us your stories. And again, I apologize for not getting to all of them in time, but I hope to, okay? Between now and Christmas, I might have to do this twice a day. And it's not to churn my own YouTube channel and rack up views for artificial purposes. It's just to tell these stories of strength, hope, faith. So here's the second quote John gave us. It's a quote by a lady named Cindy Atkins. I didn't take the time to Google her. I don't know who she is, but here's the quote from her. When you died, it was the biggest shock of my life. Nothing prepared me for it. I live each day wondering, how will I get through it? And then I remember that you would want me to. And then John wrote, "This quote helped me so many times after my son Josh passed on 5/14/2014." So May 14th, 2014, John lost his son Josh. I don't know how. I don't need to know how. I don't know how old Josh was. I don't need to know how old Josh was. I can't imagine that. I have a son, Daniel. I have another son out there in the cosmos who I hope returns to me someday. As painful as my estrangement is from my three other children, I like to believe that they're somewhere healthy, happy, alive, and well, and I have reasonable cause to believe they are. That's nothing in comparison to what John Schwartz experienced with his son Josh. Josh, our heart, our thoughts, our prayers go out to you. You got a bulb on the wildlife refuge tree. And John, thank you for, here I was being all callous and cold and objectivist, thinking, oh, well, that guy, he'd just change if he got a fire under his butt and he got a little bit uncomfortable. Everybody has a story, and we don't always know that story. Maybe that person's the way they are because they lost someone from their life, and that's what caused them to be where they are. And maybe it's going to take someone special re-entering their life before that change can take place. That change takes place in the grand time of things, not our time. We can't rush it. John, thank you for you being you. Thank you for your motivational, inspirational quotes, and thank you for sharing this part of your story about yourself with us. Fat old lady in PJs, thank you for going down to the dollar store and spending $20 or $30 every winter to keep those little kids' hands and ears warm in the winter. And I want to thank each and every single one of you for being with us here at Homesteading Off the Grid, another morning ramble. We'll see you next time for more.